So I never expected to be making this video because I technically already quit Diablo Immortal after playing it for about a week and after also hitting max level and actually Paragon level 10. But Blizzard suddenly decided to drop a major patch actually that in my opinion will make things a lot more fair, so to speak, for free-to-play players. And so in today's video I'd like to break down very specifically what types of changes are made and how exactly they'll benefit players, again, namely Battle Pass players or free-to-play players, and essentially whether or not it's enough to make it even worthwhile for these types of players to play and progress through the game. And by the way, what I'm actually showcasing here is a new class change feature, which, surprise surprise, despite everything the game has done so far regarding monetization, this can actually be done for free, which in my opinion still does not count as any sort of goodwill, especially since this feature had been promised very early on, even before the launch of the game. But I digress, because what I really want to focus on in this video and break down is the additional ways that Diablo Immortal is allowing players to earn essentially legendary crests and also eternal legendary crests, which are a different category, right? Because, by the way, the gems that drop from the rifts that are powered by the eternal legendary crests are actually sellable on the marketplace, whereas those that drop from the normal legendary crests are not sellable. And also, for additional context, each type of legendary crest also has its own pity counter, which is that if you use 50 crests of either type, and by the way, you cannot mix and match them to count towards the same counter, but let's say you use 50 eternal legendary crests, or rather 49 eternal legendary crests, and don't get any 5-star legendary gems, your 50th run will guarantee give you a legendary crest of 5-star quality. And so previously you were only able to my knowledge, buy eternal legendary crests on the shop, whereas you can earn the normal legendary crests for free in-game, but the methods were extremely limited. With this new patch, not only are there new ways to earn both types of crests for free, technically, but because you also get to earn eternal legendary crests quite regularly, say a couple on a weekly basis, you'll be able to get that pity system counter rolling much more frequently. And let's say you max out the free eternal legendary crest that this patch currently provides, that should come out to about 2 extra crests per week for free, which means that it should take you, if you just keep this up every single week, 25 weeks to guarantee get one 5-star legendary gem, which some would argue is still quite a long time, right? That's technically half a year, but it's definitely, leaps and bounds better than what we have so far. Not to mention, you'll possibly still be able to get a 5-star gem before the, pity counter maxes out, right? You'll still be able to acquire 5-star legendary gems just by being able to run 2 extra eternal legendary crest runs per week, on top of the other legendary crests that you can actually earn from various new events and an endgame system that's just been added to the game. So the 2 new ways that players can earn eternal legendary crests on a weekly basis are, first of all, they can actually trade in Fading Embers, which drop from Elder Rifts, and there's like a weekly cap which has actually been increased, which means with these Fading Embers, the increased cap, you can trade them in for enough Fa runes, which with the new option to buy eternal legendary crests with Fa runes, you have enough for 1 per week, right? So again, you run Elder Rifts, whatever crests you want to put into them, enough that you can cap out or get 280 Fading Embers to then buy Fa runes with, which are these runes that you use to craft various things like legendary gems, random legendary gems rather. But the new thing that's been added is that you can trade in Fa runes for an eternal legendary crest, and you'll have enough for just over enough for 1 per week. And so technically through this method alone, you'll be able to earn a little bit more on average than 1 eternal legendary crest every week because of the extra Fa runes that you accrue past the 22 that are needed to exchange for an eternal legendary crest, right? Provided that you don't spend those Fading Embers or Fa runes on anything else. Now, the second way that you can earn an eternal legendary crest per week is to actually do the weekly Helliquary raid, but this does have to be done in a warband, which in and of itself is another sort of problem with the game right now that people are complaining about, with people coming and going in warbands and or not being able to find players that are online frequently enough to do warband activities. But anyway, disregarding that for now, by doing the weekly Helliquary raid with a warband, you'll be able to unlock the privilege, so to speak, to buy another Eternal Legendary Crest with 1600 Platinum, which you can earn, by the way, by completing the Codex activities per day, right? And so you should have more than enough to be able to buy the Eternal Legendary Crest per week, provided that you're doing some of the other daily, routines and chores that are in the game. So again, through these two new sources of Eternal Legendary Crests, one should be able to earn at least one 5-star Legendary Gem every 25 weeks, and they could definitely get more, right, if they get luckier in these runs, provided that they actually keep up with these weekly activities every single week. Now, finally getting to the elephant in the room, will this actually be enough for free-to-play players or say Battle Pass players to be able to catch up to and compete with whales? Well, in my opinion, the answer is not even close. And I believe the reason is that even with these additional ways to earn Eternal Legendary Crests and also Legendary Crests from some of the new limited time events that are in the game, and by the way, all of this is also available to the whales and paying players, right? Albeit ratio-wise, I suppose the free-to-play players are getting a larger bump in comparison to, proportionally to the paying players. But anyway, that I don't actually think is even too important because it doesn't really matter anyway, because the power gap is still really, really large. Mainly due to the fact that not only do you need to get these gems, let's say once you even get your 5-star legendary gem, right? That's, pretty awesome. But to be able to achieve, power closer to what the whales have, you actually have to rank up your gems, right, all the way to rank 10. And it costs tremendous amounts of so-called gem power, which also is fueled by legendary gems to be able to rank up those gems, right? And it costs like a huge amount of money. Well, technically like gems or whatever, gem power, right? But obviously the whales are spending a lot of money, like real money, to be able to rank them up. And not only that, but there's also a resonance system that's sort of like an ultimate whales only like club type system, where once you rank up your legendary gems, right, to rank 10, you'll be able to socket additional legendary gems to those gems, so you have gems within gems, and then you'll power up those gems within gems to higher levels as well, right, to increase the overall power of that gem, like the main outer gem and the piece of gear that it's socketed into, right? It's kind of confusing, but essentially for each rank 10, maxed out gem that you have, you're technically not maxing it out until you socket additional gems inside of them, then rank them up as well, which obviously costs exorbitant amounts of, legendary crests and, indirectly money. So with that, in my opinion, I think what Blizzard is really addressing here, if they're really addressing anything, is to give people the illusion that they're actually able to sort of catch up in power by way of these, acquiring these 5-star legendary gems, the best gems, without really, letting them be able to rank up those gems and power them up adequately compared to the whales, right? Which means that the whales still have a very, very significant, pretty much insurmountable advantage, probably as they intend, right? Because they want to keep the whales happy so that they'll keep spending money. And playing devil's advocate, you could definitely also say that Blizzard will, and they already have technically added new ways for players to earn additional legendary crests and eternal legendary crests, and perhaps even ways in the future to target different types of legendary gems or even specific types of legendary gems. They can always add new stuff like they're doing now. They'll probably do it a bit gradually, but right now we have not only the two ways that I explained earlier with the Fading Embers Fall Runes and then the Warband raids, but also the adventure, like new adventures event, and there's also a Hero's Path endgame progression system, so to speak, where you can also earn additional crests. So these are some of the new ways, and there's also like the Hungry Moon event that comes around. It actually already ran once a few weeks ago, and that also awarded a, I believe, legendary crest. But for me personally, and this is arguably a completely different point, but is also the reason that I mainly quit Diablo Immortal or stopped, finding it fun, and it's that no matter what they add into the game, if it's done in the same way that it has been this major patch, that is, then as in you're not really rewarding good gameplay, right, or like challenges, but rather making people do chores in the game. That's what the game really just feels like to me right now. It's just like a list of chores or like a checklist that people need to do to power up very gradually. And the biggest thing for me And again, this is not really as related to what I've been talking about before, but one huge reason that I think makes Diablo Immortal insalvageable, I guess in this way it's relevant, right? Because I've been talking about how Blizzard has been sort of patching up and addressing things and giving, additional reward paths for people. But for me, the biggest thing about Diablo Immortal that makes it not really salvageable is that it's lacking a core Diablo element, in that the loot drops in the game, the way that it's handled is not fun, right? For example, in any of the other Diablo games, there's always a chance from virtually any monster that you fight, anything you do, where you can obtain like a very valuable item, so-called a GG drop, right? Or lots of different, maybe less valuable items, but that can still be useful in some way, or can be traded, or can be worth something. But in this game, every item that drops, aside from, I guess, like the 5-star legendary gems, feel pretty worthless and replaceable, right? Because the way that this game is designed is that even if you're max level, as you gain in Paragon levels, right, you level up your Paragon levels, the gear that drops actually increases in quality corresponding to your Paragon level, making the gear that drops, like, if you drop it at a lower level, Paragon level even, then it's not going to be really good gear compared to when you get the same drop a few levels later, right? And thus making any of these drops not feel very good and just not core Diablo, right? There's no such type of excitement that exists in Diablo Immortal. You never get the feeling of getting excited over like being able to get lucky on rather a GG drop, right? And rather, apparently, the way that Blizzard believes people feel the most excitement and perhaps a dopamine rush from playing a Diablo game, at least in a way that supposedly will make Activision Blizzard the most money, is to run these Elder Rifts, which are really just loot boxes in disguise, and just get the loot explosion at the end of the rift by spending money on legendary crests, or rather eternal legendary crests. And that's pretty much all I want to talk about in today's video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I do read every comment and try to reply to all of them as well, as long as you're not trolling. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I probably won't be playing Diablo Immortal again anytime soon. I might just, do so to get some footage like I'm doing right now, right? I'm actually not playing the game to enjoy it right now, but I'm just doing it to, get my video footage. But with that, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in this next video. Peace.